I was listening to the story about, it was a story of a family in Washington, and the little boy called the Bigfoot the cowboy man. And he had, apparently it had made an effort to steal this kid. And it hit me. My children were in that playpen behind me with nothing but a mosquito net over them. It could have crept up behind me and taken both of my children, and I wouldn't have known.
Father just got like a Mustang or something from Wyoming, okay? He had it out in the corral because he couldn't put it in the barn in the stalls with the other horses. It would kick and made all the other horses nervous. Had a Seminole Indian working the horse, trying to break it every day. So they had it out in the corral. This skunk ape snuck up behind this horse and grabbed it on its hind quarters. This particular horse kicks out, jumps over the corral, runs into the pasture, to get away. At this point, the rancher's out there just blasted away with the dirty. Skunk ape runs into the swamp.
I went up there one day after that, or 2 days after that. I went up there and sat in the silence up there, and I'm telling you, man, it was free. It was crazy. There was a crazy vibe up there still. I did what I could to kind of get things under control, but I told her, I said, you need to get off this property. I feel like no matter how strong you are, it's almost like standing in the ocean. You can't stand still without moving your feet. You're going to get knocked over eventually, no matter how strong, whatever. You can't withstand a barrage of weird spiritual energy.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Paranormal Odyssey Live. I am your host, as always, joined by my partner in crime, Miss Tiffany. What's up, ma'am?
Not too much. Glad to be in here with you. I just saw you a little bit ago, but it's good to see you again.
Yeah, you did see me a little while ago. We recorded a missing persons episode that will probably get it ready to go out tomorrow. So, y'all be looking for that. But other than that, how's it going, ma'am?
It's going good. Hey, I heard this really funny joke. Okay, and I don't think yes, Yvette's in here. She'll get it. She's female. All right. So when a female has had children, it is always safer to cross their legs when they laugh. It just is. So I heard this really funny joke. Okay, what kind of shoes? What kind of shoes do chicken wear?
I don't know.
They wear Reebok.
Oh my God.
Reebok. Tell me, I am here to tell you, and I am saying this on live stream, and I don't even care. I literally peed my pants. I laughed so hard at that joke.
We recorded an episode earlier of Missing Persons Case Files, and she told me right then that she had a joke to share tonight, and that she peed all over herself, and I let it go. Like, yeah, whatever. That was pretty good.
I was like, I told Carrie, I said, I am saying this tonight on this show.
All right. You got that out of your system?
I think so. I'm good.
All right. What mom joke for sure? Matthew Maynard, our last guest. Was our last guest that we had on, or do we have someone after Matthew?
I don't know. I think Matthew was the last guest we had on.
Yeah, we did a members only last night.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm in the wrong month. I'm in the wrong month on the wrong day.
Troy just asked why the chicken crossed the road. Hold on, wrong one. Why did the chicken cross the road? I don't know, Troy. Tell us. Hurry, because we got bills to pay.
Gotta pay the damn bills.
What? To prove to the possibility done. Good for you, buddy. That was worth it.
So
All right, we got our guest backstage, Miss Jules. She is ready to go. I'm sure, didn't sign on for all these shenanigans.
No, but I bet I made her smile.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. She's gonna come on and talk about a witch.
Witch.
Yeah, just all kinds of creepy stuff in the state of Alabama.
Yes.
I don't know if it all took place in the state of Alabama, but that's where she currently is. So we will get her out in just a moment to talk about all of that. All right, before we do, though, everybody, if you don't mind, if you are new to the show, please take a second and hit that subscribe button. We would greatly, greatly appreciate that. Tell your mom and them to head over here and watch us and hit that subscribe. Help us to grow the show. But in order to do that, you got to hit that subscribe button, please.
And if you would like to be on with Wayne and I, you can reach out to him, Wayne at paranormalworldproductions.com, or me, Tiffany at paranormalworldproductions.com. And I was just looking at the August schedule before we came on, and we only have 3 spots for August. So reach out to one of us if you'd like to come on and share your encounter. We would love to hear it.
Want to ask everybody to head over to paranormalworldproductions.com. That is our website. Check out all the other shows. Sign up for the Bigfoot newsletter. Pick up some merch. All of that fantastic stuff. We would love to have you check out paranormalworldproductions.com.
And if you have any questions for tonight's guest, if you would put them in all capital letters, please. We highlight them and do a rapid fire question answer at the end of the show. And I made it through it that time and didn't stumble. So yes, put it in all capital letters, please.
Good for you. Good for you. All right, I want to remind everyone about our membership that is still ongoing. It's $1.99 a month if you want to sign up to be a PO freak, a Paranormal Odyssey freak. You get access to extra content like a members only live like we did last night. Had a great time last night. Welcomed our new member, Robert, and he hung out with us. Not sure if he's in here tonight. Hopefully he is. But yeah, as Alex always says, best $1.99 ever. Literally, guys, it's 200 pennies. It's less than 200 pennies every month to help us out and get extra content. You get signed up to the Discord, hang out over there, get access to Tiffany and myself, movie nights, all of that cool stuff, video chats, just all kinds of cool stuff over there. If $1.99 would not break you, we would love to have you join.
Yes, and we are trying so hard to grow the show, this show, and then the segment we're doing with the missing persons, because if we bring them to light, maybe something will jog somebody's memory. So that's why we're not like desperately pleading with you. But if you just, the subscribe button's free, the share button's free, the like button's free, extra perks galore with this membership for just $1.99.
Yeah. And as you noticed, the banner I just got going, the super stickers are open tonight. They are always open. We never close them. So help us out if you want to. Y'all know how it works. You got to hit that $100 before you get a payment. Tiffany and I have hit that $100 mark. Was it 4 or 5 months in a row now?
4.
Okay, so we need your help for 5. I think Scott or someone had asked the last episode. We didn't get a chance to answer it. We are not even halfway there, and we're about halfway through the month. So we need your help to hit that $100 mark. If you could help us, we would greatly, greatly appreciate it. It goes to help us. This is my full-time job. This is what I do for a living. This and the podcast. So it certainly helps me, and everything that comes in through the YouTube, Tiffany and I split. So it will help both of us greatly if you can help us out with some super stickers tonight.
Just sticker us away.
Yeah. It's not just super stickers. It's like super comments, and I don't even know what you can do.
Yeah, those super comments that makes them glow.
Ah.
And
Well, look at Ristal. What did Ristal just do?
he's such a sweet man.
I love you, buddy. Thank you very much for that 10 spot you just hit us with. That is very, very, very cool.
Yes.
All right, as we were saying, we have a guest backstage, Miss Jules. She reached out to me, I guess, a month or so ago,
Mm-hmm.
and told me about all kind of paranormal stuff that happened to her growing up. And hold on, let me get this in here. Troy just hit us with $20. Thank you, buddy. Thank you. I love you, buddy.
Y'all make me. Oh, okay, Scott.
Holy shit, Scott.
Y'all gonna make me get up and dance. You don't want to do that.
We got the best.
We have the best group of people.
That's so awesome. $80. I mean, we're 11 minutes in, and we already got $80 worth of super stickers. So thank you guys so very much. You were awesome. We love you, Troy. Thank you so much, buddy. Mr. Tiffany, what the fuck did you just do, Mr. Tiffany? That's the biggest one we've ever gotten.
Oh my gosh! If I wasn't trying to be professional, I would so totally do the patty cake. I would stand up and do the patty cake.
Thank you guys so very much, Mr. T. I'm gonna see you in person, Mr. T, here in a couple of weeks. I'm gonna kiss you right on the freaking mouth,
and I'm gonna film it. And if you join the membership for just $1.99 a month, you'll be able to see the picture.
There you go. You get to see two grown men kissing.
That's a little PO freaky. I don't know.
I mean, there might be like a hand in the way or something like that, but I don't know. It'll happen. But guys, thank you so much. That's awesome.
Yeah, really. Thank you.
Y'all just put us over our limit 12 minutes in. You guys did exactly what we needed of you, and you were awesome. I love you. Thank you so very much.
Yes, we love you guys so very much. Like, we can't even convey to you guys how much we love you.
Crystal said, give him tongue one.
Alex said, I'll pay not to see that picture.
Okay, I'll take you up on that, Alex. All right. Y'all didn't come here just to hear us talk. You came here to give us money. I appreciate that.
Yes.
But we've got a lady backstage that is ready to go. Tell us about her spooky stuff growing up. And we are tickled to have her. She reached out to me, Wayne at paranormalworldproductions.com. Told me a little bit about what had gone on with her in her life. So, yeah, if you guys want to come on, that's the first step in doing so. But we are going to go ahead and bring out Jules. Jules, what's up, ma'am?
Hey, y'all.
Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your spookiness with us. We love the spooky.
Woo. Well, I didn't much love it, but it happened. And then I got, so it happened. So I'm a very curious person by nature. And so therefore, I don't know if you would call it an obsession with the paranormal, ghost spirits or what. But after the things that had happened to me, young and teenage and college years, and it took me on a journey, still to this day.
Okay, well, why don't you start at the beginning, Jules, and tell us what happened? I know that you had talked about a witch living in the woods or something behind your home. I don't know if that's where you want to start, but just at the beginning, just start and tell us what all has happened to you in your life.
Well, I was born in 1970 and I was an accident. My mother was 38, so I was the youngest. I really wasn't supposed to be there. And believe me, they told me that. But Daddy had worked at NASA, and he had played football for Alabama Rosecrans. And he quit because he couldn't be away from Mother, and they moved to the middle of Gunnersville on top of a hill right in the middle of town above the First Baptist Church. And he built his, it was his dream home, garden, on top of the hill. And then down in the holler down there at the bottom was the old farmhouse, rock house, where Mary Jane lived. And she was a practicing witch who belonged to a coven. And I was told this, like, I can't remember when my mom told me. She told me when I was so little, because I do remember being 3 to 4 years old and riding with her in the car back then, no seatbelts. I was sitting on the armrest, and she had vegetables for her. And, of course, I was a little kid. I loved to meet people. I wanted to meet everybody. And she wouldn't let me go in. And I saw. I couldn't understand it. She goes, no, you cannot go in. She has too many cats, and the room is full of feces that we have to walk through. I remember that. I remember being taken aback, even that little, that she made me sit in the car and and not long. Probably around then is when she told me that she was a witch and that Mary Jane, she belonged to a coven in Huntsville. So, we were Southern Baptist. My daddy was very into, deacon. We would walk to church sometimes, and we'd always have to walk by her house. I didn't have a bicycle. I had a horse. But I remember I would have to ride as fast as I could by her house because it creeped me out so bad. To the fact, let me go back just a little bit. This is my first encounter with a woman, and only encounter, really. Me and my best friend Katie were playing in the woods, and that's what I did. I'm a Gen Xer. I was raised on hose water and dysfunction, but we were down there in the holler where I really didn't go. I was only 7, but I explored all those woods. It was about 20 acres around the house. Just dense woods. And I was down there, and we come out right below her house, and I picked the tick off my leg, and I looked at my best friend, and I said, I gotta pee. And so I marched right up her front stairs and knocked on her door, knowing I wasn't even supposed to go to her house. And she opened that door, and she was wearing a black robe. And I remember looking, I don't remember anything but seeing the bottom of the robe, and I don't even remember her face, but I remember what was behind her. It was dark. There were candles lit everywhere. She was in the middle of a ritual, and I had disturbed her. And I just looked up at her, and I said, I need to go to the bathroom. And she said, you get home and don't you ever come back.
Oh, wow.
Buddy, me up that hill, and I never went back. And I promise you, whenever I had to go by her house, it was always colder down there in the holler. I'd take off on my quarter horse as fast as she do up that road, as long as I could get past her house if I went home that way. Which, there was only one road a car could go in and out. Now, my horse and I could go all areas of the lake, on both sides and all around, and I would usually take steps to avoid her house at all costs. Now, it's funny, now that I asked my brother about her. He has no memory of her. Now, come on. That witch is living down the road. Okay, right. So fine.
Yeah.
And, come on. And I never heard my daddy speak about her. Only my mother. And that fascinated me, I guess. People that the paranormal fascinated me, right, I guess, stemming from her. Also, my favorite book when I was a baby was a ghost book. I can't remember the name. It wasn't Casper. It was another book. I was always just captivated by it, not knowing the gifts that I had really already. And like I said, with my horse and that and the other, and then we were at church. It was a Wednesday night. We were there every time the doors were open. And that was, that was a rule anyway. But, I'm grateful for my foundation. Without that, I wouldn't have Jesus Christ or my relationship, which is above all has saved my life so many times. But I was in the little house across the street from the church. We were in GAs, you know. I guess I was probably 10, and I look up and there's a huge fire going, you know, where my house would probably be. I mean, flames as far. I mean, this was a good half a mile down the road. You know, there's up a road. There's a big cemetery right here, one of the biggest cemeteries in town. And then the fire was just blazing, and I was just freaking out because I thought that our house was on fire. And I'm freaking out. And my teacher, who was also a friend of my brother's wife, said, "No, Julie, no, that's Mary Jane's house. They're using it for practice." And I just looked at her, and I just thought that was the weirdest thing I had ever heard. And then she disappeared, and nobody would talk about it or what happened to her. So after her house burned, you know, me being the curious kid I was, I rode my horse down there. I tied her up. So I just started exploring this. It was an old rock. And her mother had, my one neighbor that we had that lived next door to us, that worked with my father, that's the only two of us up there. Her husband had died early, and I talked to her just a couple of months ago. And she goes, "Yeah, that was her mother's house." And I was trying to get some information, just, you know, anything as to what happened to her. And, you know, but still there's nothing. I'm still doing research on that. I'm going to go back to the Advertiser Gleam, which tells a lot about what people do. I mean, they would tell you, they'll tell when you go on vacation, or, you know, so-and-so's cousin came into town. Or, I mean, they're like famous because of their paper. It's so country all the time. And so she's very interested for what I want to find out too. But that was the only time I was there with my mother that took her vegetables, and she was not nice to me. She scared me really bad. But when I found books like Gateway to Hell, jars of unusual things that were preserved, because although they burn it down, there was, you know, store, you know, where they kept their, you know, like potatoes and candies in the bottom. I'm not so much a basement, but you understand what I'm saying, back in the old days. And so after those books and what have you, and, you know, there was a few experiences where, you know, a couple of my friends and somebody said, "Drive to Coleman and go to the cemetery and back your car up to this tombstone, you'll see the devil's face." Well, we were laughing. We went and did that, and well, sure enough, yeah, it was there. And then always watching Unsolved Mysteries, or, you know, I was always into it. And in haunted houses, I loved them. You know, we watched, finally, in about 1987, I watched The Exorcist, and it scarred me for life. Or I thought it did. My friend take me home with a light on in the car now. That just blew my teenage mind. I was like, "Now this is real." You know, but I never feared that. I didn't want to see it, but also never was in fear of that at all. But, you know, growing up, I do believe in generational curses and what have you. Because later on, I will tell you how I watched my family disintegrate before my very eyes. A very prominent family, a big family, and a lot of sickness, a lot of death on that hill. I got out at 18 and went to college, to Montevallo, matter of fact. But at 17, I know y'all went creeped out. We started using the Ouija board. And that was something that we all got just, what? Because of how real it was. Because of how I could put my pinky on it and it would just fly around the board. Mind you, I was always very respectful and followed the rules. Yeah. But when I got, and it was all very light. You know, we had to ask stupid questions, and nothing comes to mind that freaked me out or worried me until I got to college. And my sister had the board. You know, back then it was just a game. Well, this was '87. I mean, my parents should not have left me. Should have got mad and shouldn't have had the game, but you know, if it could have, should have, would. It wouldn't have mattered. I'd have found a way anyway. And me and my college roommate were playing it, and it told me that it had been with me all along, and that it was following me, and proceeded to tell me its name. Now that freaked me out, and I put it up. I said, "Oh,
So what was
not
his
to burn
name?
it." Oh, his name was Damien. And
Damien.
That's a creepy.
isn't that cliche though? I was like, "Are you serious right now?" Okay. But but it scared me. So I put the board away until me and my roommates moved out into this 1800s house on the Monte Valley campus, right there across from it. Monte Valley was a very old school. This house was very, very old, and we had some crazy experiences there. I had a peeping Tom. I looked up in the tree, and there our other roommate was up there dressed in black, you know, looking down at us. I'm like, ah, you know. And he got kicked out, and then one night we were hanging out, and I decided I'm going to bring the Ouija board out and see if we get in this house. And Spirit came through. It didn't. I don't remember him saying it was Damien, but it did tell me that the original owner of that house had died of a heart attack, and at the age of 50 something, I can't remember. So the next day, at our landlord's pool, I said, "Well, I'm gonna ask. I'm not gonna tell them what I did." And they said, "Sure enough, he had died of a heart attack." So right then, I was like, "Whoa, uh-oh." So in that area of my life, I was still not sure what I wanted to do in my life. I was kind of just going along, you know. Y'all want me to, I just can never figure out what I want to do, and then I ended up leaving my valley. Traditional studies, lecture, and stuff like that wasn't for me. I had been a star volleyball player. I was going to try out there, but I ended up going to Gaston State and getting a volleyball scholarship there with my sister. And moved into a house with 5 other girls in this old house on the Coosa River. And I lived upstairs in the pink room, as we called it. We had a pink room, we had a blue room, we had, you know, there was 5 of us. It was crazy, really. It was fun. But one day, me and my best friend, there, Sunny, we pulled up in her car, and she walked in, and I was standing on the back porch, and I saw this little man walk around the corner with overalls, carrying his little toolbox, walking around the corner, going into the shop. And my roommate's grandfather, that was his house. I had never met him. He had passed. And I told her, I said, "I just saw this little man walking in the garage out there in the shop." And she said, "What do you look like?" And I explained, you know, shorter, overweight, and, you know, gray hair, white hair, and was carrying this wooden toolbox. She goes, "No, that is my granddad. You do not." I said, "Okay." So then, there's just certain parts of that house, like when I would go up the stairs to my room, I would get that sense that I was not alone. And I would run up those stairs past an attic fan that was as big as us. And I just knew something was back behind it. And we would hear noises, but a lot of the time we were distracted, you know. And but it's not an unknown thing that I struggle to fit in anywhere. I struggled with what I wanted to do with me. And I was good at coordinating, and I was a star volleyball player again, and but still there was this internal struggle Because as soon as I went to college, I felt like the Baptist church was full of hypocrites, and that at a young age I could see through people. I could see, especially growing up with people with an unhealthy fear of death at the in fourth grade on up. I was always so frightened of death. I'm part Cherokee, and my best friends were animals. Just, I'm very connected to animals. I've trained dogs and horses in later years, but I had my first dog there at that house where I saw her granddaddy, a Rottweiler named Jazz. And I'm telling you that for something else I'm about to tell you. It just happened to me just 3 days ago. But my oldest brother was 17 years older than I. Then, 9 to 10 years later, she had two more, my other brother, my other sister, and then 9 years later, me. And in 1993, my brother passed suddenly of a massive coronary. Now, he was running our family business at the time. And it pretty much shattered my mother. She aged overnight. That was her baby. We're typical. He's a golden child. My sister was a peacemaker. My brother was a jokester. And I was a black sheep. But proud to be a black sheep if you do any research on that now. I was looking at it the totally wrong way. But I always thought, there were certain things that happened, like this woman kept calling our house. It was after Mary Jane that got wherever she got. And this woman kept calling and saying that she was in love with my father. And he's a deacon now. He's an upstanding citizen in the community. And this woman keeps calling, harassing my mother and my daddy about how she's his girlfriend. And and it was just weird. It was just, who is this woman? Nobody would know who she was. And finally she just stopped calling. But like, after my brother died, and that was an incident right before he died. It caused a little bit of commotion in our family, But when he died, I was 23, so it was one night. I was at Mom and Dad's spending the night. We had Sunday night dinners every Sunday night, and he did die on the Sunday night dinner. And I will tell you this, I almost forgot. Me and my roommate Sonny we're going up there for my nephew's birthday, right? And when our family gets together, there's probably about 18 to 20 of them. And so we're riding in my car. Well, I take a route through Gunnersville I usually never take. And I just decided to go back way. And I'm not kidding you. She's my witness. Not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 to 6 black cats ran in front of my car. And because we had this gang, see, we cross them out. So we're just like superstitious. Nuh-uh. Cross that. And then I looked at her, and she looked at me, and we were just like, whatever, And then that night, by the time I drove back to Gaston, she was dead.
Yeah.
And it was also weird that my dog tried to sleep that night. Like, she knew something was up. She never opted to bite a soul. When he reached out to touch her, she said, oh. And that was weird, too. And Tony was, I know everybody likes to say, oh, my brother was the best person but he was the closest thing I know to, something close to Jesus. I'm not saying he was, but he sang in the choir, and he was good. He never had a harsh word to say about anybody. Of course, he loved me, and when I get grounded, he'd buy me Nintendos. He gave me a 64 Nova when I went to college. He was more like a daddy, for real. And he had a wife and 2 sons, and they were the kids were 14, 8, and it was devastating to all of us really. 41, which at the time I thought was old. It's not old. I'm 53. It's not old. But the black cat incident, that did something to me and Sonny, because we're like, it's one thing to see 1 or 2, but when you get upwards where you lose count. But I think that was some kind of premonition. It's hard for me to talk about it. This is the first time I've really talked about it like I'm talking to y'all. I have talked about it with a spiritual counselor of mine, and a similar thing. And she says, how can there be light without the dark, and you've just seen a lot of the dark. It reinforced my belief in the light, that is for sure. Because on that, Jesus is amazing. The confirmations and synchronicities that are relevant in my life now are unbelievable, undeniable. They're undeniable. And
he will
it's like when
he will show himself in a great and mighty way.
He does on a daily basis. Just about my big thing too is I can be telling a story like I was to my friend the other day. She's going through a death of her mother's very sick at the end, and I was telling her about how I had been prophesied over about the eagle verse in Isaiah. The eagle will take out flight, and this group of people prophesied over me, saying, that I was an eagle. I had lost my feathers, and when an eagle loses its feathers, they'll lose their beak, they'll lose their talons, but the other eagles will take care of it until it can fly again. And I was telling her that story, and then that very next day, that very verse pops up on my Bible app. I mean,
it's not a coincidence.
It happened again the other day. It happens all the time. It's like people say they have a hard time believing. I'm like, just do a devotion, pay attention, read a book, and then he does it in such a blatant way to me that it's just no denying it. And how could you? But after he died like that, though, I remember staying at my parents', and I was doing something I wasn't supposed to. I was spending the night with him, and I was sneaking in the kitchen. I was going to get me a drink, right? I'd be to make me a drink. Everything is so stressful in my family, always. Always walking on eggshells. So whenever I had to go up there, I would get sick in my stomach, Yeah, I had to pretend I was a certain way. But when I was walking by, going in the kitchen, headed for the glasses, and you go by a door on the right that goes into a living room, I look over, and he's sitting in that armchair. I froze. I turn around, I run back to my room, jumped under the covers. And the sense of the feeling, like telepathy inside, then it was like, get your ass out of here, you're not. That's going to make Mama mad. And I promise you, that's the one and only time I saw him. It's not the only time I spoke to him. Which I'm busy to tell you about. But I didn't say anything to anybody because I didn't want to upset Mama. Of course, I didn't mind ever telling her myself. Sometimes she'd just tell me, would you quit telling on yourself? I just really don't want to know anymore. But I know. But honesty is like, maybe I was too, some people say I'm too honest about telling things about my life that scares people, or they'll think I'm crazy. Well, I'm to the point now where I'm not on medication, I'm not on drugs, I'm not doing anything wrong except writing this book to help women who go through what I've been through as far as abuse or, addictions, and, only to glorify God. That's it.
Right.
I was a millionaire and but now I live on a lake, a beautiful lake on a houseboat. How did I end up here? Because God. And I knew I was going to write this book for a long, long time. But I didn't have an ending. But now I do.
Yeah.
And I attribute that to some other memoirs I've watched on film and read, as to where you have to be at a place where I had an aha moment, enlightened moment where I was mad at God, and He pretty much set me straight in about 1 minute. I walked out. I was crying, and I'll tell you about that movie. Let me back up just a little bit with my brother, because this is the last time I used the Ouija board. Okay, so my mother is mad at God, and just lost, and it was the saddest thing to watch her decline like that. But I can't see how I would feel if my son Eli was to die. I mean, Lord, who can even imagine that?
Right.
That pain. All I that it changed her, and most of it changed us all. He was kind of like the glue,
Yeah.
So there have been an incident. My mother struggled with in-laws, boyfriends, friends. She just was weird. She just didn't like anybody. And she really gave my sister-in-law down the road. In which at that time I thought it was my sister-in-law giving her down the road. The point where she tried to kill herself. But they're past now, so I'm not worried about, this is part of it. The traumas and things that people go through that they have to overcome, like her jumping on my bed saying she almost did it, and there's a loaded 357 under the bed. I just pushed it as far as I could up in the middle. My brother Tony came and took care of it. I didn't tell anybody but him. And but it was over his wife.
Yeah.
So when he died, it was a year or so after, maybe. I pulled the Ouija board out, and I said, "Come on, Mom, we're fixing to talk to Tony." We did, and he came through, or Spirit came through. I'm not going to say it was exactly Tony, but Spirit was right in saying that he was not happy about how we treated her and how she got run out of town. And it was really terrible. Run slap out of town. She got her money, and they had that power, in that town. And after that session, I put the board in the garage, and I never went back to it. I never saw it again. I said, that's enough. And, years on down the line, me and my sister came to me. I never told her about it. My daddy did walk by while me and my mama was doing it and just shook his head. You imagine he's Baptist deacon. Lord, But we didn't even tell him what he said. But I don't much remember my mama's actions except she was kind of speechless. And she didn't really mention Susan again after that. But I'm trying to think. I'm not doing lost. It was just I don't really have a bad story to say about the Ouija board. Everybody's so scared to death of it. I had a lot of trials and tribulations in my life. I did experience sleep paralysis in high school one time, and but never saw anything evil. Just knew that I was paralyzed watching my body. and that's the one and only time was then. Even my sister will attest that anything and everything I ever tried to do, usually, it's like it didn't matter. I could go to the pharmacy and or my prescription would be ready. Oh, but they wouldn't have the right milligram. I would get tickets to a concert and give their, there was to be some kind of glitch in everything. I've tried. I've had a hard time throughout life, and then after that experience with him, I went on to finish court boarding school, be a captionist on TV for the deaf, and even taught a little bit at the college and got married. Fell in love with my life, got married, and moved to a log cabin on the lake in Ohatchee, Alabama. Ohatchee, Alabama is where I experienced the most spiritual evil I've ever come in contact with. And that was a house after me and my husband were married for 13 years, but in 2011, the tornado took my horse barn. It took, of course, I had my babies in the bathtub. They were only 2 and 3, covered with a comforter, and tornadoes were one of my worst fears. It was tornadoes, planes, and sharks. I conquered them.
Sharknado.
I have been in the water with a shark before, but I was only 3, and I bet you I didn't go out there that deep again, even with my ring on. So that was that. The tornado, and when I saw it coming across the river, it looked something straight out of a Weather Channel. I thought, horses were locked in the barn. I run to the bathroom. He's like, I'm gonna get it, and he's like, no, I want to see it. I was like, you always want to see one. You put a bad omen on it. You wanted it. Now here it is. And I was screaming, crying. He told me to shut up. God, I just had my babies, and it went. And it skimmed by us. 250 some odd people died that day.
Wow.
Yeah, I met James Spann, and he said that was one of his biggest regrets about how the warning systems just didn't get out and do right that day.
Yeah.
But house on the foundation, we survived. Everybody else thought we were dead, but people started streaming in, helping, and it was pretty miraculous. But I kind of lost my mind after that, and we ended up divorcing, and I ended up later. I had taken care of his father, but that was his father's house, and I always had you can feel it about that back bathroom. I wouldn't use it. I just closed it off. I didn't like my closet or that bathroom. And it was just, there were certain spots in homes where I just feel like things were watching me. Of course, I would just block it out. And I didn't ever see shadow people till upcoming. That was 2011, but I took care of him till he died in 2001. And I will tell you this about the funeral home. I almost forgot. So we make the arrangements, I take care of him, and man, it was not an easy job. Oh Lord, yeah, it was not easy. But I did the part where my husband could just visit him. He didn't have to worry about whether he's going in and out of nursing homes or rehab. I always took care of all the paperwork, got him to his doctors, this, that, and the other. And he did finally pat me on the head, when he was dying. Said I was a good girl. Praise God. Me and him didn't jihad most times. But, you take care of your family. You don't have to like them and love them. And or that's my theory. And we're at the funeral home, and in the funeral, and I'm sitting there with my husband. I'm seeing spirits. I'm sitting here like this, and I thought, well, I'm just emotional. I'm upset. Why am I seeing this lady in period dress? Why is there so many different looking spirits here from different eras? I'm like, I am in a funeral home. So I get past, but I asked my husband. He was very sensitive too. And he saw things too. He did. And then the most amazing thing about when his father passed is we buried him in Tennessee. He ran track for Tennessee back in the day. He was a very handsome man, very smart, intelligent. But he did suffer, from his own demons. But when we buried him, we were at the burial site in Chattanooga, and I start seeing these spirits come down, just like a shoo. And they were shaped sort of like angels. And then I look over next, there's this empty spot in the grass, and he's kneeling in the grass now, with his glasses on, just grinning like a possum. And I said, yeah. And he saw it too. So I don't know if that we were open to it, because we also had been to Sloss Furnace and seen. Sloss Furnace is a crazy place too. But to see him, he was not like 3D like we are. He was outlined.
Mm-hmm. So he was like an apparition.
Yeah, it wasn't foggy or anything. It was very clear. It's almost like a black and white sketch.
Right.
I swear it looked just like a sketch when he was moving. I mean, I'd never seen him in that position. I'd never seen him smiling like he was either, or look as happy as as his spirit did that day. And I was very grateful for that. But a couple of years later, we had practiced meditation, how you can see auras, or I'm Christian too, though, but I explore things. I'm very spiritual. I'm non-denominational now. My foundation is Christian. I believe in Trinity, but also I do believe we all have our energies, our vibrations, and I as myself, I was spiritually sick for a while because I was running from God. I was running from these gifts. I didn't want them. And eventually they ended up scaring me really, really bad. And so we went to Sloss Furnace, and we went to a Dishwalla and Live concert. And I remember looking over the walls and all these shadow men. So many I couldn't count. Boop, boop, boop. Just looking over the wall at all of us. Like they were spectating too. It was wild to stay out, aside from the Black Cat episode. That really got me. But I had, and I think having traumas with a lot of death. My first boyfriend got killed in a car accident when he was supposed to be with me. A lot of our good friends died while we were in high school, which I haven't heard my child mention a single one of his friends dying. Ours were dying left and right. It was very weird, Of course, it was different in the 80s than it is now. We were really irresponsible,
Yeah, the 80s was where it was at, man. The 80s was where it was.
Man, we had some really good times. But yes, my first, one of my first boyfriends, I really, really, really was excited about him. And even though my parents were like, he's a little bit older, I'm like, well, I always had older friends at 15. I didn't hang out with him. I just didn't. And he was 19, I was 15. And he was supposed to have gone on the boat. We were supposed to go to a party that night on my boat. I always had a boat. And I actually had like a fairy tale childhood, horses, boats. We were very wealthy at that time. He'd come up from nothing, and in the fire sprinkler business, and really made, and then also a machine company, made parts for the Challenger. And my father was just really successful. And they said, no, they're going to your grandmother's. And I pitched a fit. And sure enough, that next morning I woke up and he had been killed in a car wreck. And I was angry at them because he's supposed to be with me, So that you can imagine the trauma is I was already obsessed with fear of death, fear of people I loved died already, and then it started happening. And that was hard to deal with. And it was just hard growing up in a strict family, not being able to be yourself. Not feeling like you belonged anywhere. I professed I was adopted every day. You know, I just knew I was adopted. I didn't look like any of them, but I do now. You know.
They
But
switched
later on, after my
at the hospital.
huh?
They switched them at the hospital.
Yeah, I became somewhat of a hot mess, but I managed to finish at the top of everything, get the bestest jobs. You know, I just would get bored with it and probably self-sabotage a whole lot. And but then after our divorce, I bought, of course, the house was torn down. My horses, I gave them away to a lady I really liked, and because there was no way I could take care of them at that time. I was still really messed up from the divorce and the tornado. So I did buy a rough cut cabin on 16 acres after I lived with my mother. I took care of her till she died for 6 months in 2012, which was a blessing.
Right.
Because she knew I was okay. I knew she was okay. And there was a lot of things that happened in our family that we never got answers for as to why the family split down the middle of money. And my sister was cut out. I wasn't surprised about me, but her husband had run the company after my brother passed. Well, they just gave them a card at Christmas and said good luck. Now, who does that?
Right.
Their kids going to college. I lived with him. I knew what kind of good man he was. It absolutely ripped our family in half. So there it goes. I'm going through all the turmoil of our family splitting down the middle, too. And so I ended up taking care of my mother till she died. And that was a blessing. That was the biggest blessing I ever got.
So did
she told me, she said, tell your sister.
I was going to say, so did you experience anything on the 16 acres that you had?
Yes. I'm getting to that. Right now I am. So I bought that. Oh, he had to go. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, it's okay.
I bought that. From a bachelor, and it was a rough cut cabin, had a fireplace in the bedroom, super nice, time forward, kind of everything. But there I experienced residuals, like around there, the Janie Furnace is where the Civil War people, Andrew Jackson had a staging there at one time. And I saw a regiment as if they were marching. It was in the middle of the woods, but you could tell that it was residual because they had no clue I was there.
Right. They weren't conscious spirits. They were just doing what they normally did.
They were marching. And then I saw one that baffled me. I had bought a haunted buffet. I didn't know I did buy a haunted buffet. I loved antiques. I loved going to junk stores. I got a buffet. And one of my friends told me that her friend said, Judy's got a dark spirit in her house. I said, well, let's go see her. She needs to come here and tell me where this dark spirit is and who it is. And so we brought her to the house, and she said, yes, it's this buffet from the 1800s where people would ride up on their horses and get food while they're fox hunting.
Yep.
And she said, yes, it's attached to that. And what's crazy is we had a friend over eating spaghetti. I got a new boyfriend. This is about 2017 now. And he come around the corner. I was making spaghetti, and he goes, "Did you see that shadow man in front of you there, Julie?" I went, what are you talking about? You know, this is before I got her to go that. What are you talking about? And then later on, she comes there and told me about it. She checked the whole house, you know, and said everything was fine except for that buffet. And then I was getting ready in the mirror one night, or it was, you know, early evening, and my boyfriend came in. His name was Hunter, and he's passed now, but I looked up to look at him in the mirror, and that shadow man was behind him, peeking around.
No,
I said, "Oh Lord."
No, thank
I said,
you.
"Pig." Oh, it was creepy. I don't like shadow people. I'm not sure. I listened to your last guest, and I may be a little bit of the agreement where they can't manifest all the way, but this one, the sensitive have told me that it was not a good spirit, and it was attached to that buffet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I did get rid of that buffet, but I saw it again years later, and he said, "Do you want your buffet back?" I said, "No, no, sir, I do not want that buffet back."
Yeah, but see, this is
was,
in this. I used to antique shop, and then I got into this line of business. Guess what Tiffany does not do anymore? I do not antique shop anymore.
I had the blessings not 69 boat, honey. I just knew. And I believe there is a ghost on it, but it's not here anymore. But, yeah, old stuff, like jewelry from pawn shops. Whoa, better get stuff blessed, is all I'm saying.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And, because either it's stolen or it's from somebody that's dead, you know.
Right.
And I just never thought about that stuff. I just knew I loved that piece, and
yeah,
it was
I never thought about it either. And it wasn't until I can't remember what guest it was, but my best friend for my birthday, I think 3 years ago, had went to an antique store because we love antique shopping. And my favorite animal of all times is a giraffe. I love the hell out of a giraffe. Okay. So she bought me 3 giraffes that were handmade from an antique store. And I'm, thinking, okay, well, we had some paranormal stuff going on here. Is that because of those giraffes?
Hey, you never know what they attach to. You really, really don't. And, you have to be spiritually sound, when you go to buy an antique. You need to be able to look, feel. I'm just real weird about it now after that buffet, because in that same house, experiences like I would have this killer music on while I'm getting ready in the mirror, right? And all of a sudden it would, an old radio, like an old Panasonic, an older one would swap to gospel. We're talking about black people, not saying about that, but a black station gospel, singing hallelujah right in the middle of my rap song. I'll be like,
yeah.
Not just once, several times.
Right.
And I'm 1/8 Indian, and my boyfriend Hunter, he was way more than me. He was Cherokee Indian, and the weird thing too is that he was very suspicious. Indians are anyway, especially with animals. We're very good with animals. Read animals, and he had gotten sick. Well, in that house, in that rough cut cabin of 16 acres, beautiful, beautiful. This bluebird kept knocking on the window wherever he was, whatever room he was in. It wouldn't leave him alone. It freaked him out so bad, and it wasn't. I promise you, a couple of months later, that he was diagnosed with congestive heart failure.
Mm-hmm.
And given 6 to 9 months to live, which he lived 5 years, but still.
Yeah.
That bird would not, and I saw it. It would sit on this thing, and on this rocking chair outside my window. If he was in the den, it'd sit there. Stare at him, pick the window. If we were sitting in the bedroom, he'd come pick the window. So I started researching that stuff, and, it does. That can, represent death. Yes. So, that was another thing. And then I saw a spirit of a man of changing faces, is what I call him.
Oh, no.
I know, and I've been trying to find somebody else who's seen one like that. And when I saw him, I was outside looking on my porch, and he was right there by the tree, and he's dressed in black, hooded. But I couldn't see anything but from the waist up because I was so terrified. His face would change from person to skeleton, person to fading in and blacking in and out. Of course, I took off running the house, freaking out, telling Hunter about it. But it wasn't too long after that Hunter woke me up in the middle of the night screaming that the man with changing faces was sitting out there by our garbage can. That he had heard something outside and saw him out there. I thought, well, that's confirmation, okay. And then I did see Indians.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the Native American spirits, if you had seen any of those.
Yeah, and that's the neatest one, I think. The neatest spirit I saw. I don't think they were happy with me because I cut some trees down. They're really angry. Yeah, they got mad at me. Yeah, they did. I don't blame them. But anyway, I was looking. We were sitting in the car or something, and we always listen to the sounds. There's some crazy sounds out there. These are untouched woods, really. And I look, and as you're looking at a tree, like straight ahead, you just kind of came out of the tree and was part of the tree. You could see the long hair, and the shape of the muscular arms, the face, and his hair was pulled back, but very long. And I was just like, wow. But I did get the sense that he was angry with me about those trees.
Right. He's just letting you know, hey, I'm watching you from now on. I mean, Eagle Eye, I'm on you.
Look. And
what happened to you? What? Not to interrupt you, but what was it that happened to you just 3 days ago? You were talking about.
Oh, I got a reading. One of my friends on TikTok does readings, and I had been looking at him for a while, and I thought, well, I'm just going to pay $3 or something, let him read my crystal ball thing, Okay, we're going to see about it, because I'm a big fan of John Edwards, and if he can't give you any confirmation or anything that, that to make it valid for you and him.
Right.
And he commenced to tell me. He told me that my aura was white with purple, which is fitting. Spiritual awakenings, spiritual growth, and which I've gone through just recently in the last 2 years. The clarification of childhood, the clarification of my gifts, spirits, this, that, and the other. And he said, but I see a Rottweiler. I went, what? I was on the thing. I didn't say anything, but I went, what, to myself? Because the first dog I had when I lived in the house in college where I'd seen that goes, I had a Rottweiler. My father had raised English setters, but I'd never had a dog of my own. Right. My best friend. She was my friend. She was human. She could talk. I could talk to her. She told me she was with me through thick and thin. I love that dog. I cried more over that dog when it died suddenly, and then my family cried. She was part of us. She was my best friend above everybody. And he said, I see a Rottweiler. I said, man, okay. She passed in 96. She was my best friend and my first dog best friend. He's like, I got chill, but I said, I'm crying. My horses, I got one horse I love very much. So I expect her and him to be waiting for me at the top of the stairs,
Yeah.
But But yeah, that was just the other day, and I'm like, he had no idea. Right now, I have a Conda Corso. There he is, right there. Rollo.
Oh, aw.
Hi. There's my
Look
niece.
at that baby.
I love, he's my love right now. So.
Yeah.
But Jazz was man, that dog was something special to me. And so,
Yeah.
how did he know? I don't have her on my Facebook profile. Now, I never mentioned her. You know, it was just something spiritual about it because
Right.
he said, I see it plain as day. It's Rottweiler. So that was amazing.
Yes.
But, you know, I became under attack at that cabin. With demonic spirits, evil, um, and you know, evil spirits will speak to people to me sometimes. It's happened uh, in Birmingham, girl, and not last year. I'm fishing with this guy I just started working with up here. He looks over at me and says, "I'm a demon." I said, "Well, I'm surrounded by the white light of Jesus Christ." And then he
Right.
commits to going into every little detail, every little story about how the world was created, whether it be evolution, aliens, Big Bang Theory. I said, you just quit all that.
Yeah.
Go back to fishing. This saying how much to do with him anymore. But, you know, it's just weird that it just came out of the blue like that. And,
Right.
and they are attracted to the light. Especially if you've been on a journey like me and have dealt with evil spirits. They
Right.
tend to think they can scare you, and they used to, but they don't anymore.
Right.
So it's turned off tremendously. You know, I call them out when it has a sound. You know, I don't go, ah!
Yeah.
I call them straight out.
Yeah, you have to set boundaries with that. Well, let's get to some of these questions because
Yeah.
we're 15 minutes in. Let's
Okay.
see. Troy from Tennessee, he's talking about the witch that lived down the road when you were 7. Did she look just like everyone else? No big warts or broomstick riding? Did she look like a regular human?
Yeah. I wish I could be for sure. The regular middle-aged lady with graying hair is about all I can remember. No warts, no scary looking. But like if she walked up to me right now, I wouldn't know she was. There's
Gotcha.
nothing that stood out of her black robe.
Right. Let's see. Matthew Maynard said, Jules, how did you get the spirits to stop following you / being attached to you? How did you make Damien go away?
The thing about it is, I know that what lives in me is greater than what's in the world.
Amen,
And
sister.
Jesus, if you call on Jesus, I am not scared to use the Ouija board. I am not scared of Damien. In fact, I've almost died numerous times and have died twice. So they tried to take me out. They did. But I was chosen for this. I was chosen for this book. I was chosen to speak about what I've been through. And I really haven't told y'all everything about what I went through in that cabin. It's a lot of scary stuff. So, big deal.
Yeah. We'll have to have you back so you can tell us about your...
Yeah, and for protection, I pray for protection. I've connected with my spirituality. I'm not a Bible thumper beater, but I have extraordinary knowledge of the Bible now. The Love Lady Center helped me out a great bit. But I was already a believer. And I started attending a non-denominational church and found the Holy Spirit. That's what saved me.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It's not about the religion. It's about the relationship.
The personal relationship is what saved me. And I've seen it seen evil devour so many people. So
Yes,
sad. Because,
it is.
you know, my ex-boyfriend was not a good profession. And I've been around the evilest of the evil. I've
Yeah.
been on a murder list. I've been, you know, hunted, and I've had to protect myself. You know, people wanting to take the things that I had.
Right.
Just out of evilness. Evilness. I've never met so many evil people as I have in the underworld. And I have to say that.
Well, and they're becoming more and more prominent as the day goes by. So the
Yeah.
second,
Being a light in the underworld, they all hate you too.
oh yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, because you portray the image of Jesus Christ. So, but Matthew Maynard says, Jules, when you were playing with the Ouija board, were you trying to get anything from spirits or just trying to invoke them to see if it was real?
No, I wasn't trying to invoke it. I hate that word. No.
Are you trying to make them come out?
I want them to stay in the spirit world and we connect. It's like that guy y'all had on the other night, which I really liked his answer about the Ouija board. It's like, well, you're using the ghost box. All you're doing is charging the batteries up, this, that, and the other. Long-haired,
Yeah, the long-haired
paranormal
ghost.
investigator. Yeah, I really like him, and I've heard other people say, you know, people are like, oh, it's so taboo. Well, it is, but like, I'm not gonna say nothing bad didn't follow me. It didn't cause a lot of my troubles. I just didn't know what was happening because we were so ignorant back then. Or
Right.
spirits were attracted to me. Period.
Yeah.
And you know, because I could put my pinky on it and just go around spelling stuff, but you know, I never was disrespectful to it.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of people get in trouble.
Right. Yeah.
They taunt. I never tried to invoke. I was very respectful. If I had a question, I asked it. You know, I wish I'd have wrote down answers. You know, but we would only answer when in high school. We were like, "Who am I going to marry?" Or you know, any stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Now, when it came through with the heart attack, and the man in Montevallo, it just came forth with that knowledge. We were just playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but my brother, he just came forth with that knowledge that me and my sister later went and apologized to my sister-in-law for our behavior.
Well,
all
that's
those
good.
years.
It kind of
Yeah,
brought the rest of that closure.
yeah, because she just passed last week. So she's with
Oh,
my brother now.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
well, I'm sorry about your
It's
loss.
better.
there.
It's all. I was sad, but I'm happy for her.
Right.
I mean, I'll be ready to see mine. I'm ready to see them.
Yeah.
But you know, also, I love this. I love my children. They're fabulous.
Right.
But
Well, do reach back out to me through email because I would like to hear what you had experienced at the cabin. But again, we're almost an hour and a half in. I want to be respectful of your time. But I really enjoyed having you on, and I appreciate you coming on.
thank you. I hope I didn't sound too crazy.
No, we hear all kinds of things.
I appreciate y'all for having me. You helped me. You know, my friend. I will say this before I go. My friend just passed who encouraged me to start writing this book. To get it on, get on with it. You know? And he just passed. Now that was a big blow, but this helps me with my confidence as like, you know, that little. Sometimes I call them evil spirits or whatever. Get in your ear and they're like, no. You know.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
I will say that I had the spirit of suicide on me for several years too, and I had to break that. And you know, I hate to blame it on any one certain thing, the Ouija board or this, that, and the other. But I was, you know, dabbling in things I shouldn't have done.
Right. Well, and that's the thing is that you're aware of it, and now you're like you're not doing that.
No.
But yeah, absolutely. We appreciate you so much for coming on because without guests, we would have no show. And people would. I'm sorry.
I I love y'all show. Y'all do good. I'll keep in contact as I write.
Yeah, because you can write the book and get it published, and we'll bring you back on and we'll share it. Let everybody know.
Sweet.
I remember her win.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
But you have a good night. And
Hey, God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye. Wow, that was really cool. That was kind of spooky. Thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. I want to go back over here because you guys, I'm here to tell you, my internet's freezing, and I don't think it's an internet issue. I think it's a paranormal issue. Bristol, $10. Thank you, buddy. You guys are the absolute. I mean, we just can't say enough good about you guys. Troy with the 20. Scott with the 50. Mr. T with 100. And then somebody said, there goes your vacation dinner. Thanks, honey. Here's our vacation dinner. I'm just kidding. And Mr. Blue Crossroads, Chris, before he left, $2.99 with the super sticker. Thank you guys so much again for coming in and for all the love and support. And do subscribe if you haven't yet. Share the show. We're trying so hard to grow it. And you guys are making it super easy. And we thank you so much. So until Tuesday, by the way, Jason Kinsey will be on with us Tuesday. And I have got to tell you guys, he sent me some really cool stuff to share on the show. And you are not going to want to miss that one at all. He will be on at 8 p.m. Eastern on the 16th. So do come back for that. And until I talk to you then, you guys have a good rest of your weekend. And we'll talk to you Tuesday. Bye.